Hey, you all. Thank you for joining Third Eye Parenting. For those of you who don't know, my name is Dr. Ray, and I am the founder of Third Eye Parenting and Third Eye Therapeutics. I am a parenting coach and a psychologist. I am here today to talk all things parenting and parenting with discipline. Um, and I spoke to this young girl who is in her preteens, and she told me that she thinks that beating children is totally effective and useful. So I was really curious about that. I asked her why, and she said that with physical beatings, you learn never to do a thing again. And I thought about this really deeply, and I realized that physical or harsh discipline comes from two places. One, when children engage in deal breaker behavior. Uh, Two, when children engage in zero tolerance behavior. Now, deal breaker behavior is something that happens quite frequently. This is when we are reacting very emotionally to what the child has engaged in. So, if a child engages in something that reflects some unresolved, unhealed issues that we carry, we may lash out on that child. I'm not going to go into details with that because I'm saving that for another video, but keep that in mind. Deal breaker behaviors. The other behavior is zero tolerance behavior. Now, zero tolerance behavior are those behaviors that our children may engage in that is dangerous, unsafe, and we have an instinctive reaction to protect them. So things like darting out across the street, or trying to dart into the street, maybe opening the front door, leaving the home at a very young age. What else? Playing with anything with fire, matches, or the stove, things like that. So those are the zero tolerance behaviors because we do not want to see our children in these dangerous situations. Now, I'm going to do a quick story time because I like to share. And I'm going to share a story time about something that happened to me when I was around 6 or 7 years old. One of my caretakers asked me to cover a pot that was on the stove. Now, mind you, I was out in the yard playing, having a good old time, running up and down in the yard, and I got called to do this chore. So I come in and I grab the first cover that looks like a possible fit, and I put it on top of the pot, and zoom, I was out of there, back out playing with my friends. Not too long after, I get a yell from the window, come inside, and I'm sure all of my peers were looking at me like, "Ooh, you're in trouble." I'm only assuming that's what happened. But I come into the house and I'm met with physical discipline. I am in trouble. I don't even know what's really going on. I'm getting beatings and I'm hearing yells and I'm trying to decipher like what is happening, right? And what actually happened was I put on the pot a cover that was inappropriate because it was not metal. It was like a type of hard plastic. And it, of course, melted into the pot. And that was a terrible thing. Now, was I guilty of this? Yes, I was guilty. And not guilty in the sense that I was bad or is wrong, right? We don't want to put these judgment labels on behaviors. When I say I was guilty, I mean like I actually did do what they said that I did, and I did put the wrong cover on the pot. But to meet that with physical discipline, I mean, I guess that was the choice that they made. But asking questions and being curious about what is occurring is the part that was lacking, right? The question should be, does this child have the knowledge base on how to do all things kitchen that was asked of her? Does she even know how to do the thing? The second question is this a does this child have the skills that it takes to focus her attention on doing one thing, right? So they asked a 6-year-old to stop playing and come and take care of kitchen duties. The 6-year-old's mind is outside still. So maybe if I wasn't in a haste to return to my playing, maybe I would have had more access to the little bit of knowledge that I had from being 6 years on this planet, right? So when you think about this, so yes, this was a zero tolerance behavior because this is something that you never want to see repeated because it's dangerous. Zero tolerance behaviors does require a level of intensity, kind of like a sharp, like this cannot happen. Like it has to be it can't just be like, oh, don't do that again, because it is something that needs to never repeat itself, right? And people think I'm against punishment. I am nowhere near against punishment. Please, I punish my kids every time I get a chance. Not really, but punishment is super necessary, right? Punishment, the definition of punishment is to decrease, go back. The definition of punishment is to add something unpleasant in order to decrease a behavior. So we don't want to see a behavior, so we add an unpleasant, experience, if you will. So that's in life we get punished at times. Like this is called real life. So I'm not against punishment. Punishment is so necessary at times to solidify the danger and to make sure that it's very clear what we are and not able to tolerate. So I'm not against punishment, but what am I against? I am against lack of discipline. If you're punishing, but you're not teaching, then what are we doing? Right? Punishment in and of itself is not discipline. Punishment is punishment because we want to never see that thing happen again. And discipline is discipline. Discipline is teaching, giving skills, and knowledge so that they can really have what it takes to never do that again. They shouldn't be in a position where they're not doing it again out of fear, because what ends up happening is that they transfer that same behavior to another action. So, there'll be another situation when I was where I may be asked to do something, and because I'm not being mindful, I'm running out. Maybe I left the water on in the sink and went outside to play because I'm not being mindful. It's about teaching skills of being mindful, teaching skills of, focusing your attention, right? This is what we need to start working on. We can't just say punishment and then not add the discipline with it. We have to teach, not just unteach, or not just have the child refrain from, but also teach, right? So again, for the record, I am not against punishment. I am against punishment without discipline, and I am absolutely against physical punishment. Physical beatings, corporal punishment, I am against it. That is something that may be unpopular. However, I am against it. And again, I say unpopular things all the time, so that doesn't really matter. But I'm against it, and I'm against it for two reasons. Number one, physical punishment is a tactic that is used oftentimes as reaction, in a reactionary manner. And it is really something that people engage in because they can, right? So it's a power, an unbalance of power, and you capitalize on that imbalance of power. So, it's really just like a bullying behavior, but I'm not going to dwell on that. What I want to really spend time on talking about is punishment, physical punishment, and what it does to the child, right? There's a lot of consequences that come out of physical punishment, but we're going to focus on one aspect. When a child think about this is our bodies. Like, this is our bodies. Like, our bodies, our skin, everything that carries us. It carries our soul. It carries our organs. It carries everywhere we go. We have our bodies with us. We are learning to love our bodies. Maybe we already love our bodies, right? I think we're born loving our bodies, right? But anyway, we have these bodies, and when we make a misstep or we make a mistake, a poor choice, whether it was intentional or not, if we're met with physical infliction of pain on our bodies, what relationship does that give us to have with ourselves? To have a relationship with your body is very sacred. To have a positive, self-affirming relationship with your body is very, very sacred. And if we're in a situation where when we make a mistake or, a bad behavior, we connect mistakes or misdeeds, we connect that with pain, that leads to a lot of issues with self-worth. It leads to a lot of issues of people feeling like something's wrong with them, because their bodies are a reminder. It goes everywhere with them. Everywhere they go, it is them. So if you punish someone by taking away their phones or taking away, their video games, that is separate from them. But your body belongs to you. It is you. So this is a whole nother level. And the other thing about that is, when I think about it, how many adults do you know that make mistakes? Because we make mistakes all the time, right? We're like, why did I call that guy? I should have known better. I should have known that he was going to be trouble. Or, you get married, you get divorced, you get a job, you quit the job because the job wasn't for you. You make mistakes and you find ways to remedy it, reflect on it, or make some changes to it, right? But we don't beat ourselves. I mean, for the most part, most people do not inflict physical pain on themselves when they make mistakes. And if people are doing that, if people are punishing themselves, and that is something that we need to heal from too and resolve, right? If we do have to punish, we're doing it because we are making an attempt to make a zero tolerance behavior null and void. We want to make sure that is decreased to the point where it is totally eliminated. And we also want to be sure that in anything that we do, we are incorporating discipline, and we're approaching the situation with curiosity, understanding, and teaching. I mean, that's one of our purposes of parenting, is to prepare our children for their future lives and for their lives and for the moments that they have now and for their future selves. So when we are approaching situations with curiosity, understanding, and the desire to pass on these teachings to our children, then we're really in a good state of mind, and that helps with our parent relationships. That helps with ensuring that we have very little zero tolerance behaviors that keep coming back and coming back, because we're working to eliminate those in a wholesome and holistic way. Well, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you staying to the end and hearing this talk about physical discipline. And if you have any comments, please put them down at the bottom. Please subscribe, please like, please share. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you later.